On the surface he was just a janitor, but in reality he was a vampire hunter. When he opened his toolbox, hidden beneath it were his hunting weapons. Bud snuck into a mansion. He strung a wire trap over the door, then began searching the house. Suddenly an old lady appeared. Bud opened fire immediately, but the dead old lady eerily stood back up. The bullet wounds on her body healed instantly. Then she revealed her fangs. Bud fired again to take her down. She dodged with terrifying speed and kicked Bud hard into the wall. After a brutal fight, Bud finally managed to kill her, but then another vampire appeared behind him. Unaware of Bud's trap, he walked right into it. After finishing the job, Bud pulled out their fangs. Back home, he locked the doors and only relaxed once he was sure no one had followed him. He rubbed sulfur all over his body to wash off the vampire scent, but Bud had no idea. Trouble was already on the way. That night the vampire queen returned home. She looked at the old lady's corpse and wept a tear of blood. Then one of her followers found traces of Bud's blood. The queen showed her true form and vowed to avenge her fallen kin. Bud's only weakness was his daughter, and right then, his ex-wife told him they were about to move because they couldn't afford tuition anymore. To raise the money and keep his daughter close, Bud turned to his old colleagues. He returned to the Vampire Hunter Union, where vampire fangs could be traded for high prices. But Bud had been kicked out for breaking the rules. To rejoin, he had to agree to be supervised by a partner. Unfortunately, his boss assigned him a desk clerk. The guy showed up to hunt vampires in a suit and couldn't stop quoting the rulebook. Bud was instantly annoyed. They arrived at an abandoned arena. Bud handed him a gun, but the guy just tossed it aside. Bud was speechless. A hunter who wouldn't even touch a gun. So he told him to stay in the car and went in alone. Inside, he found a nest of vampires. Bud took them down one by one. As he was pulling their fangs, a massive vampire lunged at him. Bud fought back with everything he had. Meanwhile, his partner realized Bud hadn't come out yet, so he nervously entered the arena, only to freeze at the sight of the vampires. Bud shouted for help. The clerk panicked but managed to kick the gun toward him. Bud grabbed it and finished off the vampire, then turned the gun on his partner.
I said duck!
He pulled the frightened man to his feet. He instantly vomited and even peed his pants. Bud gently comforted him and dropped him off at home. That's when Bud found the guy's notebook. It was filled with every rule Bud had broken, each one enough to get him fired. Bud was furious. The next day, he picked up the clerk and yelled at him the whole drive. But the guy insisted. Rules were rules.
If we went by the book, we'd both be dead by now.
The clerk was terrified by Bud's anger. Bud stared at a photo of his daughter and finally calmed down. He begged the clerk for a few days to make enough money to keep his daughter. The guy hesitated, then agreed. Bud noticed the new neighbors whispering with a man outside. He didn't think much of it, but danger was already closing in.